After a few grueling hours, we recovered ourselves, only to realise we're barely halfway to camp.
I got the Kinetic rope out.
I've ended up jumping in the Iveco. Simon's hooking up to Dave.
We want to get him.
It's getting later, it's getting darker.
Go, Dave, go.
I might be trying to find a second-hand Iveco.
I've been stuck, Dave's been stuck.
Now what?
The Mighty 300 is stuck, bogged to the axles with the caravan on the back. So when you see the rope go tight, make sure you're on the gas.
We just want to get into camp, get some food into us, get ready for the next adventure.
This trip was built around my wish to get back into Ruby Gap and do a bit more rock crawling and exploring.
I'm so glad that I've finally come to see it.
We may need a winch.
We're not getting to bed anytime soon.
So once we had all the team safely across the river, up on the rock beds again where we had traction, it was getting quite late and pretty dark. So I headed on ahead down the river.
Paul from ARB scouted ahead to find a place that we could have enough space to set up our group.
Was good for the night.
He sort of remembered where this awesome campsite was, and he goes, it won't be too hard.
I need you to help me.
We may need a winch.
As we made our way around, there were two options. You could go via the stones or via the sand.
Vaughan had already made it through with Simon.
We're thinking, yeah, this is cool, we're just going to roll into camp, everything's great.
They'd gone around on the sand, but they've obviously got the 37-inch tyres on the big Iveco, 35s on the big Patrol, and a whole heap more nuts than my Ranger. So they've made it into camp and they're sort of there ready.
Dave from Clearview decided he was going to take the sand. And he got stuck.
We made our own path through this massive rock garden and Anya's following behind me. Anya had got herself stuck as she was coming in.
She was stuck pretty deep.
By this time, it's 10:30 at night.
1 recovery, 2 recovery. How many more are we going to do?
Now what? It was getting later and later. None of us had any dinner, but we all had to chip in and help each other get through.
Over the radio I heard that Dave was stuck, so I headed back down the track to have a look.
Recovery's going on left and right, everyone's running around. But the great thing about this group of people is everyone got involved to help. Everyone had got themselves into a little bit of strife. And I love it.
Simply a matter of letting a little bit more air out of the tyres and pushing a bit of sand aside, and he drove through cleanly.
Anya's got stuck, no fault of her own, and now we got to get her out. So I went back to my vehicle, I got the Kinetic rope out, Simon's taken the big Iveco around to help get Anya out.
We've got our caravan unhitched. We've got the big rig here ready for recoveries. The Mighty 300 is stuck, bogged to the axles with the caravan on the back. So let's get the Iveco hooked up to the 300 and the MDC, get them down there so we can get some dinner cooking and get some sleep tonight. So I'm going to use one of my favourite recovery items, which is this Factor 55 shorty strap. Now this is ideal for wrapping around parts of the chassis, the tow bars, when you haven't got the recovery point or a base to hook onto. Designed to stretch and then pull. I need you to help me. So when you see the rope go tight, make sure you're on the gas. Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Simon's managed to pull Anya out, and then all of a sudden to the left-hand side, Clearview's got stuck.
We got stuck once.
I was fine.
No, twice.
No.
Because that's when Simon came along and helped us put our caravan in its place.
I've ended up jumping in the Iveco then. Simon's hooking up to Dave.
It was actually quite exciting to see everyone get through safely and get to camp.
And we got Dave into position at long last at about 11 p.m.
I've been stuck tonight, Ruben's been stuck, Anya's got stuck, Dave from Clearview's been stuck. It's one of these things is you go out of your way not to drive or tow on soft sand, but it was late at night, we couldn't see what we were driving on, and we just had to deal with the situation that we got ourselves into. And we did.
Got the fire on, got our dinners going, and tucked ourselves into bed for the night.
It was crazy hectic, but gee, it was fun. Let's hope that Simon gives us a break tomorrow. Woken up at Ruby Gap, finally. Simon allowed us to have a sleep in. It was amazing.
What a sight to wake up to. Mountains around us, just glorious, glorious view.
So Simon's got an absolute treat for us today. It's time to unhitch all the campers and caravans and do some wheeling. Last night's camp was a very tight circle. It's actually going to be a bit of a technical operation just to unhitch and get onto this drive.
Well, Simon's got something pretty cool in store for us.
We're right at the bottom where the water would be flowing. I just look up amazed at what I can see and where I am.
Anya, how does that big bluff look on the left?
It's amazing. And those gum trees are gorgeous.
You've got cliff faces either side. It was eerie, amazing. It was so many emotions in one.
It was beautiful.
We go down into the riverbed and I'm a little bit uneasy based off last night's experience.
It was still soft in places, but because we weren't towing this time, there were no problems.
As we hit the sand, we traversed across the river a couple of times. So you go across the sand, you'll climb the bank again and then back into the river.
Hannah's behind the wheel today, and I don't think I'll probably get behind the wheel much this trip. She had this handled, no worries at all.
We had a very, very short transit where we stopped first of all to just look at the amazing view that we had in front of us. We had a bit of a time with the kids and said, right, let's go down and have a look at this sand.
Because I'm an Irish man, and when we came here we learned everything to survive. Mike saw a wet patch sand. He goes, oh, you get water out of there. So, what? So he made the kids go get a shovel and he dug the hole. It was actually fresh water.
We encouraged everybody to have a drink, and it is absolutely beautiful tasting water. You won't taste better in my opinion.
Because you know it has flavour, like lemon.
We put a water bottle in there and sampled the water, and yeah, she's nice and fresh.
He's got something now.
I think he wants to be a plumber.
I was like, I'm not going to try that because I think that's just going to be diarrhea for sure.
Everyone's surprised.
Well, just because it's short, you'd think you'd die out here, you could actually survive.
We're travelling along the riverbed and then we come across this water crossing. Now, Anya loves water crossings and she's hit it. This time round, I'm going to do the biggest splash, and I just launched a patrol straight through it.
Ruby Gap has been on my bucket list for so many years, and I'm so glad that I've finally come to see it. It's just absolutely fantastic. The track up the gorge changes or alternates between the river and the river bank, so it makes it a little bit interesting. Momentum on the sand and then slow going on the bank.
Hey Ruben, I bet every kid in Australia would love a chance to run their L plates out here and get some experience.
I reckon they would. We're wheeling over rocks at the moment. We've got some awesome sandy creek sections. I mean, what an epic experience for Hannah.
Better than Ruben. Don't tell him.
Alright, Dave from Clearview, you haven't noticed that you shredded a tyre?
No, I haven't, have I?
Yep, rear right's gone, buddy.
Dave, you need to stop. We need to fix it.
Great.
Clearview, he blew his tyre on the way up, low pressure sometimes. Tyre will grab a stone and it just took the sidewall out of the tyre.
This is most likely the culprit here. We've got a tear in the sidewall. Running them at no pressure at zero with a big cut in the side is not a good thing to do. You've got to pull up as quickly as possible. And if you do pull up as quickly as possible, you've got a chance of repairing it and getting yourself back on the road. In this situation, that tyre is an absolute throwaway. We'll get it off, we'll get the spare on, we'll keep going.
When you get punches, it's just bad luck, but the great thing was Clearview had everything that needed to get that tyre changed and get us back driving.
What we're doing here is we've got the pack off-road jack base. Normally your factory jack has trouble reaching to jack the vehicle up. Now we've given the jack a 50mm raise. When you're on soft sandy terrain, that's giving you a big wide footprint, so it stops the jack from burying itself into the sand, which makes it a lot more efficient, safe and stable for jacking. When you're buying new tyres, never settle for 4, always get a set of 5. And go for something like the Coopers because they are built tough.
So they replaced it with the spare with the help of Aiden and Zienna.
My first time doing it, used the jack to wind back down in the car.
Oh, it's on my foot! Should have seen that face. We want to get nice even torquing across it, so we're going diagonally across in a nice star pattern.
Didn't take long, had the tyre off and a new one on there pretty quick. Convoy was on the roll again, down to the end of Ruby Gap.
The rocks themselves look like waves on the ocean that's coming in, they just flowed.
Here's this beautiful gorge in front of us. It really is a spectacular, peaceful spot. You could just sit there all day.
Any four-wheel driver sees something like that, they get a little bit excited. A few people wanted to do a little bit of rock crawling.
Like a bull out of a gate, Hannah's led by Ruben, and she's just driving through these rocks, and it was just crazy.
Yay! Hey Hannah, high fives!
Just going through really nice and safe, and that guy Ruben, geez, he can pick a line.
Now this was Hannah's first time doing any type of driving like this. She was very, very good. She listened to our instruction. She had fantastic throttle control.
Good ride. Well done.
With the confidence of Ruben directing us, we drove over a few crazy rock formations. He was directing me, I wasn't even looking where I was going.
Well done, Anya. Well done. Woo!
So Anya's had a drive, now it's my turn, and we got the big patrol out, and Ruben's showing me how to navigate these rocks, and I'm just having a fat time. We decide just park the vehicles up and get some amazing shots in this valley.
Simon was keen to keep going, but I was like, I don't know. You could see these rocks that were just up and down, up and down. I was like, I think that's probably my limit.
A couple of rocks there.
It's just beautiful to just be amongst those enormity of history and nature that's there in front of you.
You always get a kick out of bringing people in that haven't seen it before. The sheer rock wall colours, the beautiful scenery.
We've had our play for the day and now it's time to turn around and get back to camp.
And that is one spectacular shot. I can tell why people come up here for a bit of peace and quiet. Look at all these cliff tops around you. Just how green it is in here is incredible.
Now it's called Ruby Gap, Mike. A lot of people think it's due to these big red ochre cliffs, but there's actually garnets in there. They sort of look like rubies.
If you're waiting until you're a grey nomad, forget it. Pack the family up, take the kids out of school. This will be the best education they'll get in their life.
The education will come, yes, but life experience you can't get out of a textbook.
This is why they do call it the lucky country, because we are so lucky to have this in our backyard that we get to go and explore and stay in. We've all meandered back to camp. We've had a nice cruisy afternoon.
It's time to have a huge fire and just enjoy tonight. We had the XTT storage rack just loaded to the hilt with firewood. Simon's decided we're going to hook up the rear winch on the Iveco and we're going to pull that firewood off there.
Yeah, winch it in!
So we've done some rock climbing today, but there was a certain point where we had to turn around and go back. But from what I hear, Simon's kidnapped the kids and Honey. They've gone out, they're going to test the Iveco and just see how far they can get.
Go!
He was definitely keen to know where that track ended up.
This trip was built around my wish to get back into Ruby Gap and do a bit more rock crawling and exploring. We've got these crazy run of slanty slates. Hang on guys, careful, get across this way. Oh, yeah! Oh, we're stuck good here.
Good one, Hannah.
Honey, grab the winch cable. Aiden, grab the tree trunk protector, please. All right, now pull, pull, pull. Oh, far out.
Oh!
Good team effort. All the recovery gear packed away?
Yep.
Exploring further than beyond is one of the reasons that I love four-wheel driving. But with the sun setting, we just had enough time for a quick climb and a quick photo shoot before heading back to camp. Climbed the rocks that I always wanted to climb. I am so happy that we went and did that, guys. Thank you for coming and sharing that.
No, that was fun.
Once we were able to settle, the fire was lit, the camp chairs ran around and the party started.
Vaughan's cranked up the big Eco-X gear on the roof of his Y62 Patrol.
It was like the Northern Territory
Dance
Ruby
club.
Gap nightclub.
My little daughter Zizi decided to teach Aiden the worm.
They were a bit, like, stiff.
Are you trying to impress someone?
Yeah! I think you had the hots for someone out of the Clearview car, mate.
It's going great. Actually, you really are.
We had an offer of $20 going for the best dancer. I believe Simon Christie still hasn't come up with the goods. Please write into Simon Christie. I'll give you his email address and his mobile number at the end of the show.
We're all pretty relaxed, we've had a few beverages and now it's time for the adults to get involved.
I even broke out a few moves, if you're lucky enough to see that.
If I make a bit of a fool of myself, I don't care. It's a memory imprinted in my mind and heart.
Camped in the middle of the Northern Territory, beautiful stars in the sky, beers, oh, you'll never forget these times.
Ruby Gap has been on my bucket list for a long time. It's been a real pleasure to finally come to see it, and boy, am I going to be back.
After 2 days of exploring Ruby Gap, we make our way towards Hale River Homestead. Will we have as much trouble leaving Ruby Gap as we did coming in? Join us next week as we explore more of what the magical Red Centre has to offer.
I need water. Help me. I need water. Help.